Hello, it is Rachel, and in my most recent podcast episode, I talked about creating what is called a to-don't list. A to-don't list is a list of items that you will no longer do, either because you've learned from past experience that it doesn't work very well, or because it is something that causes a lot of stress. Now, in the podcast episode, I talked about how to-don't lists relate to your response to your children, how they relate to boundaries you set, and how they relate to the expectations you set for your children and for yourself. And it's this last piece that I actually want to focus on in this video, your expectations of yourself. Because what I have found in working with parents, thousands of parents over more than a decade, is that one of the biggest obstacles we face is that we are depleted, we are exhausted, and we can't give our kids what they might need, what we know they might need, because we are so tired. And often our exhaustion and our depletion comes from the expectations that we set for ourselves. Now, I know from having talked to so many of you and being a busy parent myself, that we can justify every single expectation that we set for ourselves. You can justify why you have to run the drama club for your child because that's really important for your child. They really enjoy it. And if you don't do it, no one else is going to do it. You can justify why you spend so much energy trying to make your mother-in-law happy because ultimately it makes your other relationships better when you put that energy into your mother-in-law. You can justify every single expectation that you have for yourself. The problem is that we don't have the energy to do all the expectations we have for ourselves. So while you absolutely need to keep most of those expectations, there are some you're going to have to probably let go of if you want to be less depleted. So how do we figure out what to let go of? And here's a suggestion that I have for you for how you decide what makes it to your to-don't list. I want you to think about your expectations and where the energy is coming from to meet those expectations. Because here's what we don't think about. Every time we do something, every time we say yes to something, we are saying no to something else. So, like I said, you may be able to justify why you have to run the drama club for your child because if you don't do it, no one else is going to do it, and it's a really big self-esteem boost for your child, so it's really important. So think about it this way. Where is the energy coming from in order for you to run the drama club? So you are taking energy from something else. And when you're doing this, it's very likely that later you won't have time to spend one-on-one with your child because you were doing all the drama club stuff. Now you have to find time to do the dishes and the laundry. So you don't have time to be with your child. So this may actually come at the expense of both you and your energy and your relationship with your child. And sometimes we have to make hard decisions about where we want to put our energy. But what I encourage you to do is make sure your energy, where you're putting your energy, is aligned with your true values. So if you think about all the expectations that you have for yourself and you look at them, you ask yourself, is there one of these expectations where if you are looking back a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, you'll actually be glad you put your energy into that versus something else you could be doing with that same energy. Be more conscious of the expectations that you have for yourself. And I highly encourage that you shift some of those expectations either to a to-don't list or at the very least to a later list where it's something you take on later and not necessarily right now. If you do want to hear a little bit more about to-don't lists and later lists, I encourage you to listen to my latest podcast episode. You can find that on my website, rachel-bailey.com/86. I will be back again soon with some more tips for you. Take care. I'll see you then.